Other things you can do is you can use shapes. So say for instance, I'm going to come into my shapes tools down here. I'm going to pick a rectangle tool, and I'm just going to draw a random shape across the page. Doesn't even matter if it overlaps the edges, because the edges aren't going to show. Now I can see that my shape up here at the top has got a blue outline, a blue stroke, but there's nothing in the middle. I'm going to change them both to the same color. So I'm going to go for maybe a green. We haven't used a green yet. Maybe we'll go for a bright green. And I'm going to change the stroke to the same color. So now I've got my rectangle on screen. Didn't mean to make a second one. I can select it, I can move it. Now again, if I wanted to, I can put it behind by dragging it, put it into different places. Okay, or what I can do with it is I can do things like change the opacity. So while I'm on this layer, if I come to opacity and I drag it along, I can make it go kind of semi see-through. Okay, if I wanted to move it, I could actually rotate as well as move. So you can see the icon changes as I move away. It turns to this rotate thing. If I hold down my mouse and move that now, I can rotate it. So it's possible to get a whole range of quite cool effects, and this is basically how magazines are built up. They start up with a single layer and they end up with lots and lots and lots of layers with different images on them, different texts on them, and so on. And this is what you're going to have to do, is to create your own magazine. Earlier I mentioned something called the history tool, and I made sure that was on the panel here. Now this is a good time to show you how the history tool works. Basically, at any point, if you make a mistake, you can go back, and you can go back through your history, and you can go back to a point before it. So here, this is a list of all the things I've done recently. If for instance I take a step back, I can move back through the things that I've done, and I could carry on from that point. So if I decided I wanted to go back from before I made this green banner, this green rectangle, I can go all the way back up to there. Now the rectangle tool and everything beyond it doesn't show, so I could basically carry on from that point. I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to actually go back to where I was, but if you make a mistake, history is a great way of going back and changing things. Okay, let's take us back to where we were, which is in our layers view. The last thing you're going to do, obviously you're going to save as you go along, but when you're happy, this is obviously not finished, but we'll pretend it is finished for now, is you're going to go File, you're going to choose Save As, and this time you're going to do a JPEG version as well. It might be just off your screen at the moment, but from the drop down list I've chosen this one, JPEG. I can leave it as the same name and hit Save. Maximum quality is 12 is good, say OK. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take you back in and show you where those things are saved now. So I'm going to go back into my D drive, which is here. Okay, back into my digital tech, back into my Photoshop. Now these are all the files. I can't see them very well in this view, so I'm going to change the view and make them into large icons. And you can see I've got my Photoshop version of Katy Perry, my Photoshop version of the magazine, and the Photoshop version of my minion, and I've got my two original downloaded images and the one I've created. So if I now open this one, I can see in Photo Viewer what that final image looks like. So when your teacher assesses your work, they're going to be looking at the Photoshop version and the finished JPEG version. Okay, good luck with all of that.